Hello everyone and welcome to EduTab. In the past few days, we have received many queries from various aspirants about the syllabus of the Assistant Provident Fund Commissioner examination, which is tentatively going to be conducted by UPSC anytime soon. So the queries were regarding the syllabus of the APFC examination. That if we look at the previous notifications of the examination, we can see the various subjects being listed in the notification. For example, we see the subject of Indian polity, Indian governance, and then the Indian freedom struggle and Indian culture, accounts, labor laws, etc. But there are no specific topics mentioned in those syllabus. So a very important question in the minds of aspirants is what are the different topics in those subjects that we have to prepare for, right? So in this video, I will try to let you all apprise about the different topics that are there in these different subjects and how you are going to prepare these subjects by these different topics. First of all, if we talk about the APFC examination, we know these are the different subjects that are there in the previous notifications. The subject of general English, current events or current affairs, then Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement, Indian economy, industrial relations, labor laws, accountancy and auditing, population development and globalization, governance and constitution, knowledge of computer applications, general science, insurance, general mental ability, statistics, social security and miscellaneous topics, right? So if we look at these different subjects, the syllabus seems to be quite vast, and it is truly quite vast. But what are the topics in these particular subjects? What are the specific areas that you have to prepare for in the examinations? Let us quickly take a glance at that. First of all, if we talk about the subject of general English, the syllabus of general English, the topics that you have to study are just like any other examination for any other regulatory body, or even in the banking examinations. You read about the comprehension abilities and also the English grammar. It is a bit different from the civil services examination, because the CSAT that is there in civil services examination, there only the comprehension part, the comprehension topic is tested. You get various reading comprehensions that you have to read, understand, and then answer some questions related to them. But in the APFC examination, we will see questions related to English grammar as well, right? So parts of speech, structure of sentence, subject verb agreement, nouns, pronouns, verbs, tenses, models, conditional sentences, preposition, conjunctions, articles, their usage, adjective, determiner, adverbs, active, passive voice, all these different topics of grammar that will be there. Then also your vocabulary will be tested. Antonyms, synonyms, one word substitutions, phrasal verbs, idioms and phrases. So basically a very good understanding of the English language, its usage and its grammar has to be there. If we talk about the next subject, that is your general mental ability in statistics, again all those conventional topics, questions related to number systems are there in the previous examination. Simplification, LCM, HCF, percentage, ratio, proportion, unitary method, mixture allegation, profit loss and simple interest, which is basically derived from the percentage part. Then your average, time and work, pipe system, mensuration, area, volume calculation, etc., time and distance calculation, data interpretation, probability and permutation combination. These are the various topics that you have to first of all understand and then practice a lot. Practice a lot, that is the key for the general mental ability part. If we talk about statistics, now the statistics part, you have to read very basic topics related to the subject of statistics. You don't need to get into too much detail. We will read about basics of statistics, the various terms that are related like mean, median, mode, average, etc., standard deviation, co-deviation, and then sampling methods that are used in statistical subjects, measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. These are the important topics that you have to read, and all the questions in the previous years, they have been from these four topics only, and primarily from the basics of statistics. Next up comes your Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. So if we divide this subject into two basic parts, first one is the Indian culture. So Indian architecture, the architecture styles right from the Indus Valley civilization to the modern British times, the various types of architectures, the monuments that we have seen in these different times, we should have a good understanding about that. Next, Indian painting styles, various folk painting styles in different parts of the country. Basically, you have to learn from which part of India which particular folk painting style comes from. Next, Indian dances and music style, both classical and folk dances and musics, right? Indian handicrafts, religion and philosophy, basic religions, and importantly the ancient religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism and Islam, which are there in India, their basic philosophy, you must be aware about that. And also in the Buddhism, Jainism philosophy, and even in the Indian philosophy of Hinduism, there are basic schools, basic sects like Shvetambras, Digambras, Theravada, Hinayan, Buddhayan Buddhism, right? And similarly in Hinduism there are 6 schools of philosophy. So basic understanding about all these ideas has to be there. Next, fairs and festivals, important fairs and festivals which are celebrated in different parts of the country. Very simple questions will be asked from there. And next, your world heritage sites, the sites and the practices recognized by UNESCO as a part of the world heritage of humankind. You should learn about all those different elements of our Indian culture. Next comes your freedom movement. Now this is a pretty straightforward subject. Indian freedom movement, we start right from after the decline of Mughals and up till the Indian independence in 1947. So you will first of all read about the decline of Mughals, how they declined, and how Europeans, not only Britishers but also the French, the Portuguese and the Dutch, they gained their stronghold over India, and how the British, they consolidated their rule. They became the most powerful empire in India, and revolt of 1857. Subsequently, the various social religious reforms that took place in our country, which brought about various reform related to women empowerment or related to literacy or superstitious practices. Next, formation of Indian National Congress, very important topic. All the leaders of Indian National Congress, moderates, extremists, and Swadeshi movements, all these leaders which were associated with these movements, and similarly various other offspring organizations that were part of the framework of Indian National Congress, that is also very important. Next, important events from 1908 to 1947, the various movements that were launched by Gandhiji or the Indian National Congress, as well as the revolutionary activities that were carried on by, let us say, Bhagat Singh and his associates, by Chandrasekhar Azad, or various other affiliates of Gadar party, for example, who went about doing some revolutionary activities related to Indian independence. Similarly, you must also read about major personalities like Subhash Chandra Bose, like Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, and various other leaders for Indian National Congress, as well as from other parties like Communist Party of India or the Hindustan Socialist Republic Association. Various revolutionary, non-revolutionary leaders, you must read about them, right? So this is what we will read about Indian freedom movement. And next comes your population development and globalization. Now this is again a very vaguely worded subject. In the part of population development globalization, we have categorized the different questions that we saw in the 2015 and 2012 paper. For example, questions related to landforms in India, important and famous hill and mountain ranges, the plateaus, various landforms in different parts of the country. Then your Indian rivers, major rivers, their courses, various important facts related to those rivers, population in India and world, about the population demography like literacy rates, like sex composition or gender composition, age composition, the participation in the workforce, urban composition, all these different attributes related to Indian population, as well as basically the world population, you will have to read. And next, human migration, how migration happens, why migration happens, and what are the impacts of migration, that you will read. Next is your human development concepts and HDI. What is human development, how human development is achieved, what are the various processes through which we can achieve human development, and then HDI, what is human development index, how is it calculated, and what is the value of human development index in India and various states of India, that is also very important. Next comes your globalization, what is the meaning of globalization, drivers and consequences of globalization, what factors lead to increasing globalization, and what factors they act as a hindrance to globalization, what is the consequence of globalization. All these different topics you will have to read. Next, basic knowledge about environment, pollution and climate change. Primarily the two topics related to pollution, especially the pollution which is happening in India, and climate change which is happening on a global scale, why it is happening, how is it happening, and what steps are being taken to curb pollution and climate change, that you will have to read. So this is not a very specialized study that you will have to do. If you are a well aware individual and if you like to read current affairs, you will obviously be very much aware about climate change and pollution. Similarly, current affairs related to human development environment, that you will have to read. New initiatives being taken to conserve environment, to promote the quality of environment, as well as to promote human development in India, you will read about that. Okay. Next is your subject of governance and constitution of India. Here you will have to read about the entire Indian constitutional framework and political system. First of all, we will talk about the constitutional framework. What are the different basic ideas of our constitution, Indian Union and its citizens, rights and duties of Indian citizens, very much important, right? So fundamental rights, the directive principles of state policy, the fundamental duties which are enshrined in the constitution, very important. Questions will be asked from that topic. Okay. Center state relations, right? How federalism functions in our country, very much important. Executives in India, the president, the prime minister, the council of ministers, and the executive machinery at the central level, as well as the governor, chief minister, and his cabinet in the state level. Next, legislatures in India, the parliament and state legislature, various rules, committees, and practices associated with the legislatures in India, and also the important offices like the office of speaker, office of chairman of Rajya Sabha, etc. Next, judiciary in India, right from bottom level to the highest level, Supreme Court of India, High Court of India, the various important provisions related to Indian judiciary, very, very important. Constitutional, non-constitutional bodies, constitutional bodies like Finance Commission, right? Like non-constitutional bodies like your National Human Rights Commission, National Women Commission, National Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribe Commission. Similarly, Election Commission of India, Comptroller, Auditor General of India. So these important offices, very, very important for the examination. Then your provisions of local government, both urban and rural local government, provisions related to Panchayati Raj and municipal corporations and councils, very, very important. And then finally some miscellaneous topics are also there related again to NGOs, pressure groups, etc. Okay, important acts like RTI, right to information, that is also very important. Okay, next comes your general science. Now general science is a very important subject from where questions are asked which you can score a very good number of marks from. For example, basic science, basic chemistry, physics, biology that we read about in our schools, right from class 7th to class 12th. The basic science, basic physics, chemistry, bio that we read, questions will be from there. And also from space technology, health and diseases which are in news, initiatives related to the health sector, and diseases which are in news. For example, COVID pandemic has been in news, various other different kinds of infections that are coming, monkeypox, right, lumpy skin disease or swine fever, swine flu, etc. All these things you will have to read about. Important technologies related to AI, related to blockchain, okay, digital technologies, information communication technologies, 5G technology, all these technologies, basic information about that you will have to cover that from various sources. Next, Indian economy and insurance. If you talk about Indian economy, we know the basic topics that we have to prepare in Indian economy. How GDP, GNP, etc. is measured. Okay, how per capita income is measured. What is the monetary policy? How monetary policy is decided? What is the use of monetary policy? What are the tools that are used to enforce the monetary policy? Next, fiscal policy. Important terms like fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, primary deficit, actually the deficit means, what are the different kinds of revenues, what are the different kinds of receipts received by the government, what are the different kinds of taxes levied by the government. Next, inflation, balance of payment, about our internal and external trade, the trade of services and goods and commodities that happens with other countries. Indian economic planning, international economic institutions, very important like IMF, other developmental banks like World Bank, ABD, NBD, etc. Next, post-independence industrial policies, especially the industrial policies which have been enacted in the very recent times. What initiatives have been taken by the government to promote the industrial growth and the economic growth in our country, it is very important. Next up is your insurance. First of all, the concept and principle of insurance. What does basically insurance mean? And how insurance sector has developed in our country since independence. What are the different types of insurance and important terms related to the insurance sector, as well as the regulatory body for insurance sector, that is IRDAI. All these different topics have to be covered in the insurance part. This is not a very difficult subject. Again, if you are a well-learned person who has been preparing for civil services or government examinations or regulatory bodies examinations, I assume that you will be quite aware about these different topics. After that comes the topic of industrial relations and labor laws. In industrial relations, we will have to first of all read, there is a theory part and there is an application part also. If we talk about theory part, Indian labor force, trade union, industrial discipline, grievance procedure, how what is the welfare theory for laborers, what is the labor welfare and wages, these are the different topics which are theoretically have to be covered. Next, labor participation and management, industrial health and safety, international health and policy, miscellaneous topics, as well as the application of various labor codes which are parts of the labor laws. That is very, very important for the industrial relations. Now this topic can be a bit tricky topic, that is why I would advise that if you are not well aware about these topics and you have not read about them prior to your examination in your graduation or in the preparation of any of the exams that you are preparing for, I would recommend that you please get a guidance, a good guidance from any of the institutions or from any of the person who has already prepared for these subjects in any examination. Okay, if we talk about labor laws, basically 6 labor laws, older labor laws we have to prepare. Payment of Wages Act, Minimum Wages Act, Trade Union Act, Factories Act, Industrial Employment Standing Orders of 46, and Industrial Disputes Act of 1947. Now, the four labor codes which might come into force anytime soon, these labor codes are also very important, and I would advise that you read about them also. Okay. Next comes your social security. If we talk about social security, various acts of social security like Employees Compensation Act, ESIC Act, EPF and miscellaneous provisions, Maternity Benefit Act, Payment of Gratuity Act. After that, schemes related to retirement, related to pension provisions like NPS, like Atal Pension Yojana, and other schemes related to the welfare of vulnerable sections. Like if we talk about women, children, elderly, disabled, transgender people, etc. All these welfare schemes for the various sections of populations are very, very important. After that comes your computer applications, the basic knowledge about the computer functioning. What are computers? What are the various definitions related to computers? Organization and data processing cycles in computers. Software, hardware, operating system, computer network, and MS Office. Very, very important. Right. After that, database management system and computer security. Basically, computer security, you will have to be aware about various kinds of malwares, various kinds of suspicious softwares, virus, trojan, etc. Basic terminologies associated with them. You will have to answer questions related to these topics. Okay, so this is computer applications. And finally, let us also talk about accountancy and auditing. If we talk about accountancy, introduction to accounting, theory base of accounting, record, how to record transaction, trial balance and bills of exchange, very, very important. And then comes your application part. This is basically the basic accountancy. Most of the questions will be from this part only, right? And this will lead to application, that is accounting of share capital, accounting of bonus rights issues, accounting of buyback of shares. Now, if you have a good understanding of these topics, you can easily understand the application part. Okay, if we talk about accounting standards, now this is again a very theoretical part. You will have to mug up a lot of things. Okay, introduction to accounting standards, various rules and regulations, various protocols that are assigned to the work of accounting. Next, accounting for inventory, accounting standards for revenue recognition, and for property, plant, equipment. This again results to cash flow statement, ratio analysis, and income statement. Now, this part becomes important. But if you have a good understanding of this, you can also lead up to this particular part. Okay, so if we talk about accountancy and auditing, basically we will have to focus on basic accountancy, the terms and the practices related to accountancy, and also their application in cash flow statement, income statement, etc., and accountancy for share capital and in the primary in the buyback of shares. So these are the topics that you will have to prepare for accountancy. And again, this is a very tricky subject, a very conceptual kind of subject, and if you do not have a background in accounts, I would recommend that you please get a good source or you get a good mentor for preparing these subjects in a timely manner and in an effective manner. Okay, finally, let us talk about current affairs also. Current affairs, there are various dimensions from which questions are frequently asked. For example, government schemes and programs, reports, important committees, commissions which have been set up by the government, national news, various important highlights that are happening at the national level, banking and finance news, awards and honors, important awards and honors at the national as well as the international level, days, themes, defense exercises in which India is involved, summits and conferences which are happening at the national international level, and some important appointments for important bodies, some CEO or some chairman or president or any particular person is appointed as MD, etc. These types of things you will have to remember. Sports in news is also there. Important tournaments, multinational tournaments like Olympics, Asian Games, etc., and also the tournaments which are important in the Indian context. For example, cricket tournaments, football tournaments, that you will have to read about. Okay. So all these different topics, I have tried to convey to you the topics that are there in the APFC syllabus. But if you want a very detailed discussion, if you want complete A to Z information about APFC examination, we conduct this 6-step domination live workshop for the UPSC APFC examination targeting the 2022 examination, and with a very limited seats, absolutely free of cost, we are giving you this particular information. If you want to be part of this particular workshop, I would request you please go to the description box. You will find a link there. On this link, you can go and register yourself, and then we will provide you with the date and time, and you can participate in the workshop absolutely free of cost. We will be giving you all the information that you need for the APFC examination. Okay, and then you can decide for yourself whether you are going to prepare for this exam or not, and if you are going to prepare, whether you are going to take any help or coaching from any other external source or not. Okay. So, in addition to this, we are also giving you 3 courses targeting the UPSC APFC examination. First one is obviously the Master Pack, where we provide you with all the things that you need for the APSC examination, along with detailed lectures and handouts for all the subjects, as well as mock tests for all the subjects. So your complete preparation can be done from the master pack. In addition to this, you also have the guidance from our experienced faculties related to this exam. Next is your Test Series Plus. Test Series Plus is basically Test Series Plus and Test Series. The difference is that we provide you with the mock tests for all the subjects as well as the full length test for the APSC exam. But in this Plus course, we also provide you with the lectures and handouts for subjects like accounts and auditing, industrial relations and labor laws, insurance, social security, etc. The subjects which are not usually prepared by the aspirants who are preparing for civil services examination or other examinations. So we want you, if you already have covered the GS part, if you have already covered the current affairs part and only want guidance for the accounts, labor laws and industrial relations, auditing, then you can subscribe to this Test Series Plus pack, where we will provide you with a test series for all the subjects and lectures, handouts for all these important subjects that I have mentioned separately. Right, so click on the link in the description box and you will get information about all these different courses. You can also get demo lectures and courses about these particular courses, and then you can find out if these courses are meant for you or not. So please give it a try. Go to the description box and click on the link, and then check out these different courses, and then decide if you want to subscribe to any of these courses or not. Okay, so this is all from my side in this particular video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and also keep on studying, keep on growing. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.